I'm Emily Thompson, 31 and a resident of Portland, Oregon. I've always been a background character in my own life, observing rather than participating, folding myself into the shadows. My job as a catering assistant keeps me around glitz and glam, but it's an ironic thing, being surrounded by sumptuous food and vibrant life while feeling invisible. Family gatherings. They amplify this invisibility. Thanksgiving was a prime example. I found myself in the kitchen, stirring gravy to the rhythm of laughter and conversation that washed over me like a tidal wave. My younger sister, Kate, basked in the glow of attention, regaling our relatives with tales of her recent promotion, while I stood by, stirring quietly as if I were just an extra in someone else's harmonious script. I remembered last summer, skipping a planned trip to care for Dad after his surgery. I had always been the reliable one, the one who sacrificed what little personal joys I had in the name of family. I learned then that love sometimes feels transactional, suffocating under the weight of obligation when it morphs from genuine affection to a semblance of duty. Thanksgiving shifted when Kate casually tossed in a comment about a surprise party she was planning for Dad's upcoming birthday. My heart sank as I processed her words, an easy betrayal dressed in the guise of celebration. She didn't even consider my efforts, my absence from social gatherings, my quiet sacrifices. I was always the one holding the family together, but somehow that became my burden, the weight of unappreciated love. They laughed and shared stories, the kind that made my heart itch from the inside. As I stood there, stirring that gravy, the reality hit me with the force of a freight train. My family's gratitude was an illusion resting over a series of gaslit memories. My father was lost in the glow of my sister's achievements, oblivious to the quiet sacrifices I rendered. His adoration was put on display for all to see, while I hunched under the weight of silent despair. I caught his eye, and that flicker of recognition I hoped for, of the connection we once shared, disappeared, a bittersweet ghost haunting me. By the end of the night, my presence became optional, a backdrop to a picture that didn't include me. Days turned into weeks, and that hollow feeling lingered. My phone buzzed one afternoon, pulling me from my thoughts. It was a job offer, high profile, catering for an exclusive event hosted by a banker who was a friend of the family. I barely caught my breath before I accepted. I pictured the event in my mind, the faces I would see, the laughter that would fill the room. There would be my family, turning their heads in recognition, but I wouldn't be the invisible one this time. I was determined to reclaim my voice in this world where I had been shouted down. On the evening of the event, I walked into the lavish venue, let the bright lights and vibrant energy wash over me. I set to work with a focused determination. Each intricate hors d'oeuvre I prepared felt like a piece of armor. A culinary battle, a mingling of scents and flavors that elevated my spirit amidst the chatter. In the midst of the gala, I spotted them across the room, still basking in the light of their shared anecdotes, their laughter rolling like a wave. My heart quickened. There they were, my family, gathered and oblivious. I rolled out my trays, offering sumptuous bites that danced in the air, excitement buzzing between guests who lavished compliments on my creations. Then I made my way towards them, cooler than I felt, each step steadier than the last. "Hey, you remember me?" I said, my voice mellifluous and steady. They turned, their eyes widening in an instant of recognition, surprise flickering across their faces like a candle, lit and ready to burn. I'm back in the spotlight, and here to serve. I delivered a toast that sliced through the glamour like a knife through silk. To my sister who forgot the sacrifices made in silence, and to my father who loves the favored child a little too much. A hush enveloped the space as my words floated above the lively gathering, each syllable heavy with truth. I watched them grapple with their recognition, trying to piece together the scenes of our family, the subtle betrayals and unspoken resentments that had nestled there, unnoticed until now. Guests began to turn. Murmurs of agreement softened the once boisterous laughter around us. Their shock tasted like sweet victory on my tongue as I reveled in their discomfort. I stood at the epicenter of that moment, their faces painted with a mix of disbelief and regret as they attempted to mask their panic. In my heart, I savored that beauty. This was transformation, an empowering realization that echoed through me. They had shaped my invisibility, but now I had molded it into a weapon against their ignorance. I was no longer the girl who melted into the background. I was here, a force of nature wrapped in the bitterness of silence finally breaking free. As the night wore on, my family floundered, caught in the riptides of their own emotions, and I basked in the quiet confidence that had surfaced, one that came from reclaiming my identity. They had shifted their focus back to their conversations, eyes darting away from mine, unable to hold the weight of my gaze. I pictured my younger self, the one who sought approval, the little girl who wanted to be more than an echo in her family, more than just a shadow flitting through the walls of their warmth. And in that glittering room packed with laughter and regrettable pretenses, I let go of the need for their validation. It was never about inflating myself through their acknowledgement. It was about recognizing my value in the tapestry of our family, understanding that my worth was inherent, not dictated by their demands for gratitude or spotlight. And so I thrived in the moment, embraced it entirely. I was Emily Thompson, the woman who had been overlooked, yet here was my declaration. I would no longer remain an invisible observer in this world. I had tasted cold revenge, sweet and fulfilling in its unconventional way. It pulsated through me like a heartbeat. As the night drew to a close, I felt light. My heart swelled. I was finally seen and didn't need to scream. I was content with that quiet triumph, knowing I had taken back my life without throwing a single punch. I smiled at the family, who would forever scrutinize their own reflections in light of my words that night. I watched them sink back into the folds of shame, and even through their confusion, I had finally broken through to the surface.